Halfway into the parliamentary audit, the hottest agenda item has been the investigation into the National Intelligence Service. Suspicion is mounting about political interference following testimony by the former prosecutor in charge of the investigation, who was removed from his duties. Because of the continued conflict over the issue, the chief of the Seoul Central District Prosecutor's Office has taken an unprecedented stance by launching an investigation. The ruling and opposition parties are at war over whether the issue has emerged because of outside political influence or insubordination. The second round of investigations into allegations of NIS involvement in the presidential election. National Assembly correspondent Kim Yeon-ji brought us a story about the political battle.
Arirang News.
It's nearly impossible to book a camping site here.
Koreans have had outdoor camping fever lately. The outdoor camping population is increasing every year, with avid campers now estimated at 2 million.
Campers can easily gain access.
Reporter Yoo Li-an visited a campsite to find out what is making the activity so popular among Koreans.
And they want a sense of healing through leisure activities like camping.
The story of Korea's outdoor camping fever. Reporter Yoo Li-an brought the story to News in Depth. We are living in an era where money may just decide whether a couple can get married. A recent survey shows that the average Korean can expect to spend $47,000 on wedding expenses. If you add housing money into the equation, the wedding expenses for a couple jumps to over $189,000. Reporter Park Geun-hye investigated the difference in wedding expenses for women and men and the list of wedding items using computer graphics.
There should be a change in individual perception or weddings.
Jiwon also found ways to lessen the burden of outlandish wedding costs for the average Korean.
Arirang News.
The Seoul Conference on Cyberspace 2013 was the largest of its kind yet.
I was hoping to arrange an interview
With her eyes and ears open wide, she was all over the conference site. We followed Foreign Ministry correspondent Hwang Sung-hee for 48 hours during her coverage. 2 hours remain before the event starts and the area is silent. But for reporter Hwang Sung-hee, work has already begun.
Let's go right over to our reporter Hwang Sung-hee, who is standing by at the COEX Convention Center where the conference will kick off in about 2 hours. Good morning to you, Sung-hee.
Good morning.
Fill us in on the details.
Good morning, guys. I'm standing by at the COEX Convention Center.
She is delivering her story live on the morning program.
On Cyberspace this year. Around 1,600 officials and IT experts from
Her day starts early in order to provide fast and accurate reporting.
The importance of cybersecurity. Back to you.
It was an occasion for the international community to discuss ways to deal with the increasing number of cyber attacks and cyber terrorism that's become a very commonplace nowadays. But like you said, the topic itself is very much related to science and technology. So as a foreign ministry correspondent, I tried not to get into too technical stuff. I try to focus on the diplomatic importance that the event has, as in how many countries will be participating and how, what the countries have agreed upon, and so on and so forth.
As the opening of the conference approaches, a large crowd starts to gather. We spot Sung-hee among the crowd.
어디 앉아 있을 거야?
아, 어디 앉지?
아마 대통령 행사 때는 핸드폰 안 터지니까.
아, 그렇네.
The event gathered leaders from Korea and overseas and from various media outlets interested in covering the story. Finally,
interpretation services provided for the opening ceremony.
the event kicked off with a commemorative speech by the President of Korea.
건설적 발전을 위한 사이버 공간이 물리적 공간의 한계를 뛰어넘고 있는 지금은 인류에게 새로운 기회이자 도전의 시기입니다.
Cyberspace is creating both new opportunities and new threats to the world. Happening at a time when cybersecurity has become an important global issue, the conference is the largest yet.
근데 그게 이따가 무슨 패널끼리 얘기하는 것도 있는데 그거 찍으면 될 것 같아요. 잠깐 봐봐요.
Following the opening ceremony, Sung-hee begins to write her story.
이런 기대치들과 기획 안에 발전이 인류에 기여할 수 있게끔 한다면 기본적으로 정부 중심적인 거버넌스 구조만을
She is under pressure to adjust interview schedules while writing her story and preparing scenes to show.
제모 씨 성인데요. 저 이거 사이버스페이스 총회 취재 나왔는데 12시 단신 청와대에서 썼잖아요. 지금 올릴게요. 선배 올리고 있어요? 44초면 돼요? 3, 2, 1. British Foreign Minister William
Sung-hee gets the scenes and dubs her news report right away at the location.
Who recently expressed support for Japan's good cooperation.
She has a heavy workload since she is the only person who is covering the event.
Hwang Sung-hee, Arirang News.
That afternoon, Sung-hee is at another location.
여기서 하는 거 아니에요?
아니에요.
어디서 하는 거예요?
네.
여기 문자로는 또 여기라고 하셔서 지금
언제? 공무원님이요?
비즈니스 센터 룸.
네, 비즈니스 센터룸이고요. 여기는 남산.
선배 이쪽이요.
An interview with an important VIP has been set.
선배 뉴스와이 카메라도 들어와서 그 뉴스와이는 그냥 이것만 따는 거죠? 이거.
One other media outlet has come
아니면
too.
한 명이 따서 그냥 주면 안 되나? 녹취는?
Sung-hee looks over her questions while she waits.
그럼 질문을 최대한 짧게 해야겠네요. 그죠?
뭐 어떻게 생각하니?
Of course, there were a lot of difficulties covering such a large event by myself. For example, on the first day, I had to cover the opening ceremony in the morning, and then I had to go have an interview with the Foreign Secretary of the United Kingdom. But I thought the interview would take place somewhere within the COEX Convention Center, but we had to go to his hotel because of his tight schedule. So there were parts where I could have used some help, I think.
Hello.
Oh, hi, nice
Today's interviewee is William Hague, the Foreign Secretary of Britain, the nation that hosted the first cyberspace
Thank you
conference.
for your time today.
No, thank you. Sorry to keep waiting.
So how this is going to be done is I will ask 2 questions and then Grace will ask you 2 questions.
Right.
Given that he is a busy
I will
person,
start with,
only 10
Seoul
minutes are given
Conference
for the
on
interview.
Cyberspace.
Sung-hee has to make the most of her time since this is a rare opportunity.
No time to enjoy Seoul.
No, it's a pity, isn't it?
So it was the British government that actually founded the conference on cyberspace. Why do you think that Seoul is a suitable country to host this conference on cyberspace?
Oh, this is a very suitable country to host it. This is one of the most connected countries in the world. It's got some of the fastest internet speeds in the world. So I think we have a very similar view, a very similar perspective between the United Kingdom and the Republic of Korea. And I was therefore very pleased that Korea has hosted this conference and has made such a good job of doing it as well.
And shifting gears, what is Britain's stance on Japan's recent push to lift its self-imposed ban on the right to collective self-defense?
Well, Britain is a friend of many countries in this region, including Japan, and of course very much including South Korea. And it is very important for countries, particularly the free democracies of this region, to play a steadily bigger role in world affairs, as we hope South Korea will do. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, well, you asked your question.
Thank you so much.
Right, thank you.
아예 처음에 그럼 그 단신을 가고 뒤에 영국 그 장관 대담을 가면서 그러고 이어서 대담을 하면 되지 않을까요? 사이드라인스에서 영국
오케이, 알겠습니다. 그럼 그것도 제가 단신 녹취도 올릴게요, 선배. 네. I know that there were a lot of reporters who wanted to have an interview with him, but I was one of the lucky 4 who did get a chance to sit down with him, so that was really good. What I wanted to hear from him was why Seoul was chosen as the host country for the conference on cyberspace, because it was the British government that founded the conference in the first place. And also, he was just returning from a trip to Japan, so I wanted to hear about that, what happened in Tokyo, as well as the upcoming summit that President Park Geun-hye will have in the UK. So those are the things that I wanted to cover in the interview.
On the second day, Sung-hee is spotted at the site again. But something serious seems to have occurred. The interview that was set for today has been cancelled.
지금 오늘 오후 5시 이전에 가장 최대한 빨리 지금 여기 기자분 바꿔드리겠습니다.
여보세요? 예, 안녕하세요. 저 아리랑 TV 황성희 기자라고 하는데요. 네, 저 아까 가나 외교장관님 오전에 세션하는 거 뵀는데 저희가 그 인터뷰하는 취지가 이번에 서울 총회에서 개발도상국이 이번 이 사이버스페이스 총회에 참여하는 게 처음이잖아요. 아, 여보세요? 네, 저 아리랑 TV 황성희인데요. 가나 대사관 아닌가요? Oh, hi. I was hoping to arrange an interview with your minister.
Sung-hee searches high and low for a new candidate for her interview. Since having an interview is of great importance, it is difficult for Sung-hee to give up. The process is very stressful.
아무도 안 되시죠? 가나밖에 없죠. 망했네. Oh, she needs to have the questions?
Just then, there is a long-awaited phone call.
The interview, when will she be available? Oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do. But should I just bring it to the auditorium? Okay, but then that has to be in like 10 minutes or so, right?
Within minutes, Sung-hee's luck turns from despair to hope. But it is too early to relax. She has to work on a new list of questions and deliver them right away.
어디세요?
At moments like these, she does feel that a story is written by running around for sources and not with her head.
Did I speak to you on the phone? I'm from Arirang TV. I brought the questions. Should I stay here or?
Now all she can do is wait.
여보세요? 강재 씨, 저 인터뷰 섭외 중인데 세팅이요? 근데 지금 답을 계속 안 주셔서 이거 할지 안 할지 모르겠는데 5분 있다 전화할게요.
Time passes without any answer, and it increases Sung-hee's nervousness.
될 수도 있는데 막 그러니까 안 된다고 답도 안 주고 된다고 답도 안 주고 기다리라는데 이거 섭외 이 사람밖에 안 되거든요. 지금 있는 사람이 가나 쪽 장관인데 그럼 혹시 모르니까 선배 이거라도 좀 촬영하실래요? 혹시 패키지 해야 될 수도 있으니까. 아유, 엄청 짜증나네. 죄송해요, 선배.
There is no time to waste. Sung-hee asks for the last time whether the foreign minister will do the interview.
So because if she's going to have the interview, we have to set up the cameras.
The long wait ends without any results.
Of course, it was very, very disappointing because I wanted a chance to sit down with a minister from a developing country to hear her or his view on the conference and what kind of assistance that they were seeking. And also, I thought it was important because Seoul has so much going on with developing countries, with all the development assistance that it's giving overseas. But yeah, like I said, too bad that it didn't happen.
There can always be setbacks at location sites. The best thing for Sung-hee now is to put her setbacks aside and move on to work on her story. At 6 p.m., the once silent press room is busier than ever.
선진국과 개도국 간 정보 격차, 디지털 디바이드를 해소하기 위한 국제협력 방안이 폭넓게 논의가 이루어졌습니다.
It is time for the conference briefing, which is the last event of the conference. This is the last chance for Sung-hee to make up for her losses and write a good story. Of course, Sung-hee does not miss out on the opportunity.
Hi, my name is Sung-hee Hwang. I'm from Arirang TV. How close do you think the countries have come in narrowing their differences at the Seoul Conference? And in your view, what effort still has to be made, do you think?
Through international treaties, and those who believe that the right way is through multi-stakeholder governance.
The event almost comes to an end and the site clears out, but Sung-hee is not done with her work.
As officials are currently reviewing the possibility. 할까요?
She gets ready to do her stand-up. It's a sign that her coverage is coming to an end. Sung-hee finally smiles.
The Netherlands has been selected as the next host country for the conference on cyberspace. The next meeting will take place in early 2015.
Foreign Ministry correspondent Hwang Sung-hee. She spent the past 48 hours at the event site, and she kept her commitment from start to finish.
I can't say that the participants came up with a concrete agreement, but the Cyberspace conference was an opportunity for them to discuss the matters related to cyber issues. For example, there are divided opinions between countries when it comes to cyberspace. The US and European countries and Korea, for one, they believe that cyberspace should remain open, whereas China and Russia think that the government can intervene and exert power on controlling cyberspace. So those areas, these countries were able to narrow their differences and share somewhat a greater understanding on how to move forward with the issue. So as a foreign ministry correspondent, it was an opportunity for me to understand how urgent the issue on cyber terrorism was, because seeing more than 1,500 people from some 90 countries coming to Seoul to discuss ways to deal with cyber terrorism, and for me, it was very impressive. And I think I will try to follow up on the issue and see where the international community takes it.
Consumers are becoming more reluctant to open up their wallets despite a rise in their income.
On the country's economic front, recent data may indicate a steady recovery, but
Korea's consumer prices grew at their slowest pace in 14 years in September, falling into the 0% range.
According to a report by the Hyundai Economic Research Institute Sunday, real income rose 1.3% in the second quarter of this year from a year earlier, while spending recorded minus 0.4% growth.
So Koreans aren't spending as much as they could be spending.
Right, which is not new, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was wondering.
This time what matters is that we can go over the list of causes that are behind this kind of behavior.
So household debt is one of them.
Right. Which is related to the real estate market.
Right.
Yeah, and also education cost. And the children getting old but not getting married and staying with the parents.
Oh, like myself.
But you know, you're different a little bit. But the core of the problem is the whole society is in a transition from the old mode that was settled, more stable, and all that.
Yeah.
We're changing a new phase, and people haven't really fully figured out how to deal with this new society or new system.
Right, and those in their 50s and 60s are right in that middle, in the middle of the transition, whereas I think the younger generation would be
they have their own game plans kind
right,
of being
exactly.
set up at this point. Yeah. I mean, those people who are in their 50s right now are the most in trouble at this point because they're cut.
Yeah.
They're kind of like sandwiched.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think, younger generation, including yourself, will be in a much better position, relatively speaking.
Right, relatively speaking. And perhaps rely less on the pension system, because I think those in their late 50s right now we're expecting to get a lot more and get, I guess, sustainable income from the pension system.
Exactly. I mean, I don't think national pension system itself will be a solution.
Right.
And a lot more people will, increasing number of relatively young people will rely more on their private pension.
Right.
Finance.
So private savings?
Private savings. I mean, savings used to be the old way of describing it, but these days more of a private finance, I suppose, for post-retirement financing and kind of stuff. There will be different kind of products, hopefully, coming up. At this point, we don't really see attractive ways of, increasing one's capital or wealth at this point. And that's all because of the 2008 crisis.
Perhaps with the changing trend of the economic market and everything, perhaps those in their younger generation will get to decide when they want to retire.
Exactly, and more flexible labor market.
Right. So it won't be like those in their late 50s now, where they used to just work for one company, and then the company says, you need to go now, and you go.
Exactly. And people are kind of like caught in between of this kind of two phases of transitions here. And then the next phase of transition will be where a lot more people will be working as a kind of like a freelance or more flexible job.
Right. Their own startups or whatnot.
Right. Move on to different kinds of jobs, and even into their older age. They will actually lessen the pressure for preparation for the retirement itself, knowing that there will be jobs available in your older age. So I think that will be the next phase, basically.
But, in this phase, we need to
hope for the best. Get prepared for the worst.
Yes.
However you can do it, I'm not sure.
Well, okay. We'll see you downstairs in a little bit.
Let's do it.
Yep. And this is like a non-ending discussion.
Exactly.
And I think we just get gloomier and darker.
Let's try now.
All right. See you downstairs.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Dr. Kim, welcome to the program.
Good evening.
Now, so clearly Koreans have more money to spend, but they're not opening up their wallets.
We expect to live longer, which means we need more money for this.
They're not getting married. They're not getting so that was because you're based on that also adds a lot to the economic